Let's talk about how to properly host an open house. In the middle of 2020, I was assigned by a coach to go meet 100 realtors in 100 days. The easiest way I thought to do that was going through open houses, and it worked. So I literally went through, I would guess, somewhere around 60 plus open houses because sometimes there were two or three realtors at one open house. And in doing this, I got to go through 60 different experiences, and I was absolutely shocked at how similar and how different it was compared to what I was expecting. Similar in experiences and how vastly different the way I think it should have been done. So understand when I was going through these open houses, I was looking at homes that were at the low side, 6 to 800,000. Because I figured if I'm going to go see open houses, I might as well see some nice houses. And I did a couple were even like 10 million and up. But most of them were somewhere between 800,000 to about 2 million, give or take. Most of them were about the 1 to 1.5 because of just the neighborhoods I was hitting up. And I will tell you this in my experience, of these 60, let's just say it's 60, whatever that number was, literally only two out of 60 ask that I sign in. In numerous occasions, I wasn't even greeted. I walked in, a couple of instances, the agents just sitting there, barely looked at me, barely said hello. And I'm thinking, why are you wasting your time on a weekend to do this if you're not going to sit here and try to actually like talk to me and learn about me? And again, think about this. I'm walking into $1 million and $2 million homes. And by the way, I was in the market. So I ended up buying a new home a year and a half later. So some of this was me getting ideas for what I wanted and how we did it and things of that nature. So first and foremost, curb appeal, and I'm not going to go to this basics, but I kind of will, right? Curb appeal is important. I certainly think that helps. Make sure it's obvious that it's an open house. Make sure that it's open. Because I remember getting to some open houses and driving right by, not even knowing it was the open house. So whether it's flyers, balloons, signs, something, make it really obvious. Because the last thing I want to do is walk up and be like, man, is this the right place? Especially if I got to just walk in, right? If I knock on the door and nobody's doing it, like I don't want to feel awkward as the person walking up. So please make it really, really obvious that I'm in the right place for the open house. Secondly, make sure it's super obvious where I go. Some of the houses, like the front door this versus the garage, it was hard to tell, and people were coming in and out of both. So it really just wasn't obvious. And again, just make it to where I don't have to think. Make me feel welcome. Make sure it's my home that I can envision myself being in, and make sure that it works. And then when I step in, have somebody there to greet me, right? I understand you may be with a couple walking them through the house, and that's not always possible. I get that. But if there's possible, have somebody greet me. And if I do walk in and you're not there or somebody's not there to greet me, just make sure they do it as quick as they can. And so here's my thing. So I'd go through the house. A lot of times they wouldn't even acknowledge anything. I'd look for the piece of paper. Most of the time there is like the MLS sheet, which is fine. In my opinion, I think a lot of what I would do if I'm selling the house is whatever I want to highlight or whatever features about the house that I really want to accent or point out, maybe take a Sharpie or something and highlight it or circle it, or maybe make your own little flyer that just says, hey, man, be sure to check these things out. But what I don't need you to do if I'm walking in and somebody's hosting is sit there and just read to me. Hey, this is a house built in 1972 and whatever, 3,600 square feet or, whatever it is. I know I got the sheet right here. And a lot of times they've seen it online and they're already coming in. So they probably know those things. And that happened more than you would think. I was really surprised. I don't remember, but once or twice, somebody asking really good questions. So again, this is the part where I'm not going to pretend to be the expert. This is not my world as far as selling real estate. But certainly if somebody walks in the house, I might ask the question, hey, welcome, do you live around here? Are you new? Do you live in the area? Right? Just get an open question that gets them to either say, acknowledge whether they're new or what you're doing. Hey, man, that's awesome. Thanks for coming in. And so here's the other thing I would say, signing in. I mean, the point of doing an open house, yes, is absolutely to hopefully sell the house, no question. But the reality is we probably know that if they wanted to see the house, they were that interested, they'd already scheduled to see it. So the open houses a lot of times are meant to get buyers, which is why it blows my mind that nobody asked me to sign in. Now, here's the deal. 60 open houses. I signed into all of them. I went out of my way to sign in. And I made sure every letter was legible on my phone number, as well as my email. And I used my personal email. So I didn't want to turn them off if they saw the word mortgage. And out of 60, do you know how many actually followed up with me? 2. And they followed up with me. One of them I did talk to the following day. And I said, man, I'm still thinking about it. I didn't tell her his mortgage. Just said, hey, man. And she just said, hey, just want to let you know, thanks for coming to the open house. Whatever she said, you interested? And I said, man, I'm still thinking about it. Left it open because I wanted to see what would happen. No follow-up. The other one that called me went to voicemail, never heard from her again. So imagine this is 100 realtors I'm meeting, 60 open houses, 2 total called me. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just sad. So the good news is if you do your job well, I have a feeling you're going to convert at a high level and you should get new business. So what would I do? So if I'm selling the open house, I've heard this, I've liked this, I've not seen it of the 60 I did, but I know somebody that did this. At least I used to know them. I assume they still do it. They put signs in the front yard saying, hey man, just, whatever it said, something like smile, you're on camera. And just FYI, please have ID ready. Our sellers want to know who's coming in their home. Right. And so it's something to that extent. So when they did walk in, somebody can greet and say, hey, welcome, welcome to 123 Main Street. Our sellers do ask that you sign in. They just want to know who's here. They also, we're going to ask you 2 questions. If you don't mind signing in, here's a QR code because I don't want to bring handwriting into this. So here's what I would do, and we can help you with this. We can give you the QR code. If you don't mind, scan the QR code and just, provide us with who you are, name, phone number, and email. And here's the deal. I'm going to bribe you to do that. Because when you scan that in and you give us, we will text you afterwards, and we're going to text you 2 questions. And it's just rate the house 1 to 5. How was it? And number 2, how is it priced? So if you don't mind, if you would do that, my sellers would graciously love to have that feedback. I would too, by the way. And then once you do that, we'll email you a $5 Starbucks gift card. So for your help, for your 5 seconds or 30 seconds, you doing those 2 questions will absolutely bribe you. Thank you so much for joining us. And by the way, I would love your feedback on the backyard. I'd love your feedback on the bathroom in the back. Do you think it looks great? Do we need to remodel it? What are your thoughts? Let me know. Whatever it is, I would ask them to pay attention and help you, right? Have them give you feedback. Because man, that gets them more invested in the house. Like, oh man, like I'll let you know. I'll check out that backyard. And some people may blow you off and then it is what it is. But at least when they do it, you at least, they kind of make, man, you're right. That backyard is freaking awesome. Or, hey man, I need you to see like how big of a pool do you think you can put back there? I've been having the debate with my counterpart over here and she thinks it's only big enough for a hot tub. What are your thoughts? Right. I would do something to at least have them like a scavenger hunt type, go look at the house and make sure they're truly paying attention to it and get some feedback from them so they can give it to you. So whatever that hot button looks like, again, I'm not going to know that answer, but here's the reality. If they sign in digitally, 1, we will have their phone number, right? Because they have to give us the proper phone number for us to then be able to text them to ask them those 2 questions. 2, if they do, you now have feedback, real feedback from people, not you, telling the sellers about their house. Hey, I thought it was overpriced and I thought the condition was a 3 out of 5. And if you get 4 or 5 answers like that, you can be like, see, told you, too much. We need to lower the price, or we need to, have another strategy, or whatever we need to do. I think having that feedback is so valuable with those 2 basic questions. It at least lets you know what's going on. So then the magic's in the follow-up, right? They've done this, they leave, they answer those questions. We will be happy to send them a $5 email, right? Because now we verified both phone number and email. Do a Starbucks, and whether we could figure out if you want something different than Starbucks, but we at least now have 2 ways of contacting them. And here's the deal. Notice I didn't ask if they have a realtor because I don't care. I'm a mortgage lender. I am absolutely able to call them. Hey, Mr. Smith, I'm so sorry I didn't get to meet you on this weekend's open house at 123 Main Street. Right. So as far as the scripting, be happy to work with you individually if you have or need or want me to say something unique. If not, you said, Mark, you do you. I'd say, hey, Mr. Smith, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to be there. Couldn't make it. And if I can, I will. But the reality is most times I can't and won't. But Mr. Smith, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to be there. I did just want to follow up and get your feedback on the house. What'd you think of it? Yeah, we're okay. Cool. You guys working with an agent right now? You guys thinking about putting an offer in? No, we're just looky-loos. Cool. You guys looking to buy sometime in the near future? You know what? We might be, or no, we're just neighbors, nosy neighbors. Awesome. Well, hey, do you want to know about some of the other homes in your area? I can send that information over to you. Really, guys, I can. This is where I can bring you back into the fold. right, to help me. But the more information I can find out about them, about are they truly looking, what's their timeline, do they really have a realtor, are they using that realtor, are they open to talking to somebody else in the event that they don't have a realtor sign or a signed contract with them to actually go look and do all that stuff. So I can really help nail this down to where we can determine if they're real or not. So that is our value add. The other piece that I would like to do is, if you're open for it, is we have my group and I, we have some stuff we've done, right? 7 things every buyer needs to know. That would be one of our text follow-ups that we have to keep them engaged. We would then have stuff of, if you're selling a home, here's the things you need to know to ask your buyer's lender. Things that they would do to, hopefully they're not going to find online. These are things that are going to be a little more unique, a little more geared to where it's like, man, you got to check this out, because it keeps them engaged with us. So that's the goal, where we can create this content together so that you can be in the picture with us. We can send them to your site. We can do whatever you want, but that's where the magic's in the follow-up. And if you get these folks, they may not buy today, tomorrow, or even this year, but the more people in your database, the more people you're going to close. So what I need to know from you, if you're watching this, is, do you want us to help you with your open houses? I think when done right, it's getting back to basics. There's a reason why they have new agents go out and do this, because it's proven process. It works. It's also a lot of work, but it works. So I would say, let's start working open houses. Let's do it right. And let's not just do 90% of the work and that last 10%, which is so important, which is the follow-up. Let's not forget that part. Let me help you do that. My team and I, we are good at this part. We can help convert, and we'll certainly do our best to hopefully put a few extra jingles in your pocket whenever we get those loans closed. So we appreciate you. If you got other ideas, thoughts, comments, whatever you want to do, let me know. Share, subscribe, all the fun stuff you know what to do, and we will hopefully see you at an open house very soon.